What's going on there, everyone? Well, this is a very interesting article because it kind of shows the actual mindset of these LGBT activist types. Now, I say activist types because I don't want to lump them into the whole LGBT community because I know quite a few LGBT people, and they're normal people. They look at some of these activists like, what are you doing? They realize that the activists are not helping; they are hindering their cause. But let's get into the story from the Daily Caller. Transgender worker gets fired after telling conservative customer to get the F out. That's some way of speaking to people. A coffee shop in Nebraska reportedly fired a transgender employee for berating and kicking out a conservative customer. "I thought I recognized you," said Natalie Weiss, a transgender employee, to the conservative customer Marilyn Sinek on Wednesday. "You should get the F out and never come back." How inclusive. How inclusive. The incident took place at Cultiva Espresso and Crepes in Lincoln, Nebraska. Sinek works for the Nebraska Family Alliance, a local conservative group that advocates for religious freedom and pro-life policies. The conservative organization had allegedly played a key role in stopping legislation that Weiss had supported that would have granted protections for LGBT individuals in employment and public accommodations. Well, here's the thing with LGBT protections. Almost all those protections are already protected under just the Civil Rights Act. You don't have to have a special set of protections because you are a human being in the United States. Therefore, you are already afforded all these protections. I don't really understand. Discrimination. People can't discriminate. Employers can't discriminate. I don't know what protections you want more. It seems like you don't want to be equal, you want to be above. And that's a problem that the general population has. Because we see this all the time. Because your activists are loud and stupid. Put people up that aren't so bombastic and aren't so hyperbolic about everything, and you might see a better set of circumstances in the future. But the way y'all are going about it now, no, people aren't going to care. People aren't going to listen because you're making a mockery of what you're trying to actually do. Kind of like the progressives and like the Green New Deal when it comes to climate change. Yes, climate change, we should do what we can to combat it. Any type of man-made climate change. Yes, we should. We should try to limit our impact on the planet, which, our impact is not that significant. I know that a lot of people are going to be like, "You're out of your mind. Climate change is real." Yes, I agree. Climate change is real, but what we are seeing right now is not some catastrophic effects of climate change. But I digress. The Nebraska Family Alliance states on their website that they support efforts to protect the lives of the unborn and oppose efforts to end the lives of the disabled and elderly. Each human life must also be protected and respected in scientific research. I don't see a problem with that, and I don't see how that is specifically going against LGBT people at all. It kind of doesn't seem like it involves them at all. I don't see that there. They support the lives of the unborn and oppose efforts to end the lives of the disabled and elderly. That sounds like they are a group that has a very good cause. Just because they're conservative, you have to berate them and go crazy? Don't understand. Don't get the logic there. Right there, sitting there, was the face of an organization that had been the source of a great deal of personal stress. Wham. Someone called the ambulance. We got a bleeder. Weiss said after seeing Sinek in the coffee shop, as reported by NBC News. Weiss also reportedly called the conservative advocate bigoted trash. Good job. And told her she was not effing wanted at the coffee shop owned and operated by LGBT workers. Well, guess what? I hate to tell you, kind of like the Christians that all these LGBT people go after, these Christian businesses. You kind of have to serve them. You kind of have to serve people that disagree with you or whatever. There are certain examples, like if it's an artistic type deal, say you're asking someone to create something for you, they don't have to. But if someone just wants a cup of coffee and you work at a coffee shop, you're supposed to, give them a cup of coffee. I get it. I get that there are also exceptions to that rule. But do you really want to? I mean, all this is doing is making y'all look bad. Y'all activist types look even worse. Because you already got a pretty bad public perception. Weiss also reportedly called the conservative. I already said that. Approximately 30 minutes later, Weiss was fired by the coffee shop owner, who said the whole event was regrettable on so many levels. I think we can all agree to that. Owner Jason Anderson said groups like the Nebraska Family Alliance pose a direct threat to her life and to the entire LGBT community. How? How are they posing a direct threat to you? How is their group's existence putting your life in danger in any way? It's a pro-life firm, or advocacy group, excuse me. They're pro-life, so they're not putting you in danger at all. That would be against what they're about. He added, "We responded as we would with any other staff member, apologized as we would to any other non-disruptive guest, and later attempted to diffuse public anger and threats with our social media posts." People, don't threaten. Yeah, just calm down. Don't threaten the coffee shop or anything like that. That's just ignorant. It's not going to solve anything. You're bringing yourself down to what these crazy activists would do. That's what they would do. They would get butthurt about something, and then they would start threatening an establishment. That's stupid. That is borderline retarded behavior. We shouldn't do that. Don't lower yourself to those type of standards, because those aren't standards at all. Weiss told NBC that after being fired, she felt empowered, and noted that the cafe employees were told we were allowed to ask anyone who makes us feel uncomfortable and unsafe to leave. Well, this lady was just sitting down to get a cup of coffee and possibly enjoy a crepe. And because you're mental, you went off on this person in a profanity-laden rant and tried to get them to leave that way. So, how were you uncomfortable or unsafe about that whole situation? She didn't even recognize you. You recognized her. You were the one, indeed, making them probably feel uncomfortable and unsafe with your actions and your words. Do you not see the foolishness that goes on with situations like this? It's always the pot calling the kettle black. It's retarded. So for those keeping track, in Nebraska, you can be fired or lose your home because you identify as LGBT. No, you can't. No, you can't. That's a factually incorrect statement. You cannot be fired or especially lose a home because you identify as LGBT. That you would have a lawsuit where you could own whatever did this to you, because we have civil rights laws and non-discriminatory laws and stuff like this already on the books that covers every American citizen. I don't know what you were saying there, but you were completely wrong. And you can also be fired for telling people who fight for the status quo to get lost, Weiss said. No, you didn't get fired for telling them to get lost. You got fired for being belligerently ridiculous. You're sitting here telling them to get the F out and all this other nonsense. And I'm pretty sure you made a much bigger scene than is actually being reported on. But yeah, calling someone bigoted trash, saying you're effing unwanted, and get the F out and all that. Seems like you are the only one that had the problem, and the problem was dealt with by your completely correct employer. You know, how do you think you made your employer and your other employees around you feel? You know? You think you did them? Do you think they're really, really proud of you for acting like a fool and getting yourself fired over nothing? Do you think that that's a good cause for the LGBT community? You know? Someone I disagree with has just walked into my business, so let me go berate them and act a complete fool and scream obscenities. And I'm a hero? No, that's not how reality works, especially in public perception. You know, the public as a whole is going to see that and be like, now that person's freaking crazy. They are an unhinged person. Yes, you are an unhinged person. You need to get some help. All these activist types who think this is an appropriate way to respond to any situation, you need to get some help too. And that comes from any side. Conservative, liberal, it doesn't matter. If that's how you think you should get your message out there, by screaming at people and hollering and making a scene when someone's doing absolutely nothing wrong, you might want to go see somebody. You know, you got some inner demons you need to get out. But it's just crazy. Shows the mindset of the activist on the LGBTQ. They don't see anything they do as being wrong, or they don't see any of the just any of the consequences as being just. You know, the person was fired, and they think they were the just person, and that the business now is also wrong for firing them. No, you're an idiot. You did a foolish thing at work, and you got fired because of it. Good, and good on your boss for firing you. You know, common sense won. That's a good thing, people. Love to hear your comments, whether you're agreeing with me or whether you're against me. I always love to hear the comments, and I try to reply to anyone that, you know, seems like it needs a reply. And as always, like, share, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the flip side.